Alrighty, peoples, we are back for another match preview. Turnaround time is short and sweet, but plenty of action helps the season draw to a close in quick fashion, especially when you've had quite a torrid season and the team you support has not had a very memorable time. So I'd prefer to get these games done and out the way as quickly as possible. I don't know about y'all, but yeah, I'm sort of in that place at the moment. But bit of a waxy, lyrical, crazy game that it ended up being against Sheffield United. I predicted a 2-1 because I thought it'll be a bit more conservative. That'd be a bit more laid back and sort of gently flowing. Like it would be United hold the ball, they try to break a low block, they struggle to break a low block, and you know Sheffield United create chances on the break, and surely enough, that's kind of what happened. But it all happened in the first half and exploded more or less for us in the second half. So yeah, bit of a strange game, that one, but a win is a win, and 3 points. And after a 4-2 scoreline, I suppose if you look back on it now, it's a bit more entertaining to look back on. But maybe there's more entertainment around the corner for our game against Burnley, because there's some interesting takes, perhaps we could say, about the way in which we are approaching this. And what I mean by that is usually when, as the title suggests, United resurgence in the squad, usually that's probably pinning it down to the teams grabbing some confidence. They're going on a winning run. They're sort of finding newfound life and finding their feet. For me, resurgence, I'm sort of looking at this from a point of maybe what the stories are talking about, there being a demand for a change in approach and how we go about doing our business on the pitch. Maybe there's a collective message coming out, or a collective effort amongst various parties at the club, where we start to see perhaps players, taking a different stance on things. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. Resurgence. It looked like people say, well, Jason Wilcox demanded for possession, right? In accordance to a journalist report, he demanded more possession, more attacking. We played possession football all right against Sheffield United. I mean, first half we were 1-1 at halftime score with 80%. So is that enough possession for you, Jason? Is that enough possession for you? Maybe, and maybe, just maybe, we can aim for similar stats, similar possession stats. We keep feeding Jason that possession statistics. Look at them high percentages. It's like the madness that we see with Tottenham Hotspur and Ange Postecoglou with high lines. How many meters up the pitch is that defensive line, Ange? How many meters up the pitch do we got to go? So maybe there's something, a little bit of that going on, but I don't know. You guys can give me your verdicts on this, but first and foremost, big ups to Stephanie Griffith. Always great to see you in the chat. Up to 3 likes already. Likes taken off. They've exploded onto the scene. We like to see that. We do like to see that 100%. Thank you to everybody that does like and subscribe to the channel. And on the road to 170, 2 away. See if we can achieve that over the next week or so. That would be fantastic if we can. Plus, then also maybe hit ourselves to 200 point over the summer. So yeah, it'll be pretty good. And we like to see channel growth. So yes, we are very much looking optimistic about that. So very impressed with Harry Maguire's attitude, availability, and heading goal ability. Got to admire him. He's got a point to prove. And I think this is probably a part where maybe I take a different view on this. We can, I believe that we can absolutely, commend a player for when they do well. We can. It's like against Sheffield United. I said Harry Maguire was one of the better performers. He's been one of the better performing players in the squad over the past several weeks. So, he's finding himself a little groove, and it's the first time in a long, 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 long time that we've had a defender finding the back of the net in consecutive games. So maybe that's a sign. Maybe that's a sign. I do believe that the captaincy element of Harry Maguire's Manchester United career definitely killed off, a bit of extra shine, or I'd say, what would I say, confidence, maybe, ambition, because I've questioned Harry Maguire's ambition in terms of career path and in terms of his ability as well. It looks like he's relishing having the availability, whereas others have been less fortunate with the injury crisis that we've undergone this season. And maybe without the added weight of captaincy, maybe he's feeling a bit more sort of like, well, the spotlight isn't on me. The weight of expectation isn't on me. I'll go out of my way to do more, to try more, to do things that maybe if I was captain, I wouldn't be doing. Could we ask those sort of questions? Maybe, possibly. So I don't know. It depends really on what the rest of the fan base thinks as a mass collective. Greece episode was ill-judged captaincy. Should have been stripped then. Yeah. I mean, I think Maguire took up captaincy under Roddy Gunnar Solskjaer just solely because he was the only one that was vocal about it, or just opted for it, and everyone else was in agreement. I think that was what the initial decision to giving him the armband was about. But definitely seeing in recent weeks that this looking a bit fresher from a player standpoint. He is looking a bit fresher. For me, it's probably in the case that when we look at a centre back with ability, we want to have someone who is of a younger age profile, a higher ceiling, better reliability around consistency, and just all-round game in terms of being better defensively, more pace, various elements. I think with Maguire, you get some of those better than what you get with other centre-backs, I do believe. But you look at age profile, you think, well, he's 30 years of age. He's not going to get any better. It sort of gets to the point where it's like, well, if Maguire shows consistency and reliability, the one thing that I don't want to have us slip into is sort of feeling this, oh, well, Maguire's looking really, really good. He should be our first choice centre back moving forwards again. And I think if that sort of comes to the forefront here, I think, we'll be doomed to repeating a bit of a vicious cycle where it's like a player looks good for a stretch of time that we sort of want to forgive for the less than impressive performances that he's had for a very, very long time before that, and say, well, you know what? We'll give you another chance, Harry. We'll give you another chance. Maguire is one of those players that has had various chances. He had the opportunities, to be a leader under Ollie, opted not to. have the opportunities to step up in a time of need where the squad was looking quite thin with personality under Ralph Rangnick and the early stages of Ten Hag. That didn't happen. And it's only really now where, through injury crisis, he gets a run in the first team. We see a mature Harry Maguire who's living up to the basic demands and expectations. And, it's all well and good, but what about if he goes backwards? And we give him the platform to say, well, it's fine, you're back in everyone's good graces if his effort levels then start to slip again, because again, he's been here at some of the worst points. And, with mentality side of things, it spreads like a virus. It does spread like a plague. So for me, I think Harry Maguire, you might do well between now and the end of the season. If you do lead us to FA Cup glory, then thank you. But, please take your leave. I much prefer to cash in on him. Speaking of other centre-backs as well, that apparently, according to I think it was some Turkish outlet, that I think it was, I can't remember what club it was, were after Victor Lindelof, Galatasaray, allegedly via Aspor, have said that they made Victor Lindelof their top target for the defence in the summer. So that's an interesting one. Would you get rid of Lindelof in the summer, or would you keep him as the adequate backup? Because I'm fully aware that as much as we can have the whole squad up for sale, we can't buy improved quality and better reliability for the same, if not less, money than we'd be making from selling all of the deadwood in the squad. So would you be letting him go? For me, he's shown to be quite up and down, a bit too up and down for my liking. Ultimately, I would want him to be sold. How much would we get for Victor Lindelof? I know it's a Turkish club. They don't like to spend much money on their signing, so I can't imagine, that their demand or their fees for Victor Lindelof would be anything to write home about. But we'll have to see what happens in the summer. 5 likes, good stuff. Big ups to everybody that is joining in. Welcome to the channels to those who are new. Hopefully you enjoy your stay, and hopefully you also subscribe as well if you'd like to see more of the content. And big ups to Carl Rossi as well in the chat. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Good evenings to you too. I think Bruno and Maguire have a good relationship. Both supported each other whilst one is captain, but my ideal captain is Martinez. Just hope he returns for cup final. Please don't rush him back. Yeah. I mean, that and this is the thing between Bruno and Maguire. They've both somewhat been there at a point in time with this team where they were having a bit of time of, where the team was playing well. Some of those guys were gelling together. But one thing that's painstakingly obvious is that there's too many players still at this time that don't get along with each other, that there are divides in the dressing room, and where perhaps it's a case that there's a lot of these players that don't really agree with how each other is playing. Plus, I think there's too many individuals that have conflicting styles of play that they've been brought up with, that they've developed as players with. So, there are, maybe we could call it identity crises in the squad, if we want to call it that. But I definitely do agree with the sentiments that an ideal captain, being that of Lisandro Martinez because of just the way he conducts his business on a pitch. I do. I sincerely believe that. Everybody's saying hello to each other. Up to 6 likes. Good stuff. Hello, Opfos and chat. Hello to Jamino as well. How are we doing? How are we doing on this overcast Thursday? It's a bit wet outside, a little bit wet outside, but the rain's gone away for a bit, so that's something. Hopefully Friday's weather is better. Or better yet, I hurry up and get out of this country and go live somewhere in the south of Europe, where the sun's pretty much always shining. Help me feel better about what goes on with my club. But anyways, discussing the Burnley game. What can we expect? Well, we know Mr. Burnley manager Vincent Kompany, the Belgian megamind, that big ass cranium that he's got, Belgian megamind. He's got a way of playing. He most certainly has. We sung its praise in the Championship. He was looking for Chapter 2 in the Premier League. Unfortunately, this song of praise, or this season's song of praise in the Premier League, had to be cut from TV time because it wasn't so great for Vincent Kompany. But he's not been somebody that's changed the approach for his Burnley side. He's kept it pretty much the same. No matter the opposition, he just plays he takes a style and he runs with it, right? He just runs with it, and a part of me says fair play. The other part of me says, well, it feels bad if you're a Burnley fan because usually promoted teams need to keep a tighter defence, especially when you go through various games in the season where the quality is just that much better than yours. The quality of opposition is just, streets ahead, miles ahead. You just got to keep a tight defence and try and work chances on a counter-attack, and sit maybe 2 banks of 4. I mean, take Sean Dyche. Kept Burnley in the Premier League for a sustainable amount of time. Unfortunately, it didn't last forever, and eventually they ended up going down due to lack of investment in the squad. So, it's a shame on the part of Burnley in that respect. However, I feel like with this Burnley setup, it's one that I think will do well in the Championship every time they're in it, but they need a different kind of backing. But also a different type of managerial approach. When the time is right, work on being a defensive team, work on being a team that keeps it tight at the back, work on a team that aims to be as clinical as possible, because it works really well. It works nicely. It looks good when you've got a team that comes out to play, not as high a quality as Burnley, not as high a team quality in the team as, say, your top end teams like Arsenal's, Liverpool's, Man City's, so on and so forth. But that you actually go out there and you play your stuff, and the players can actually, it's relatively even. The duels are relatively even. It's like Sheffield United versus Burnley, and Burnley ended up, I believe it was against Sheffield United that Burnley ended up winning their game 4-1 or something. Pretty sure it was, yeah. So Sheffield United hosting Burnley, just a team that can go at each other. And when the opposition opens up, Kompany will look, well, you know what, I'll take this. I'll happily take this. And and it looks good. But there's always a time and a place for it. So for me, Vincent Company, is this game going to be a right time to play your expansive style? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. United are a joke. Every single player is a joke. They can. It's Minu, Garnacho, Hoyland, Martinez, Maguire, and Ben. Dear. I like how Maguire's sort of made it into that list now. Maguire, I swear to God, Maguire was in every single clarted list. He's in the bomber clart list of Firmino up until now. But yeah, to carry that sentiment, pretty much for the most part, yeah. If United sign Haram Rabat on a permanent, which would not shock me at all, then that shows the mentality and ambition of Manchester United. Well, gladly, for your sake, Firmino, as well, you'll be both happy but also gutted as an Arsenal fan about this. That United haven't got any plans or any intention, full stop, to make Amrabat's loan a permanent deal. I think in the way in which Amrabat's being handled at the moment is just, it's evident. It's clear evidence of Amrabat not staying beyond this summer. I bet Burnley wishing they still had Dyche, never understood that sacking, perfect fit. It's a really weird one, Stephanie, because it's like the ownership tried to, penny drip to the manager, not really give him what he needs ultimately for Burnley to survive, and then eventually it became unsustainable. There's not much more that Sean Dyche could have done to keep them in the Premier League, and then lo and behold, before they knew it, he was gone, he was sacked. But Burnley couldn't have survived anyway. So, it's like Burnley tying the arms behind the manager's back, tying an anchor to the ankle of Sean Dyche, and then stick him in the ocean and saying, come on, Sean, you should be able to float. You should be able to float. Come on. Use the air in your lungs. Make yourself a flotation device. Meanwhile, it's a solid anchor, enough to sink even Popeye. There's what's dragging Sean Dyche down. So, yeah, it's a baffler. It's a real baffler. Burnley are terrible, but so United are predicting a 1-2 win for Burnley. I think this would be more 3-1 for United. I think on the basis that Burnley don't like to play two banks of four or to try and play low block stuff, I think it's just going to be a case of trying to trade blow for blow. I think, of course, Burnley will find the back of the net because it's just Burnley. They'll play expansive. They'll create chances. But I think the defensive style of Burnley is one that will cause them trouble. It'll cause them trouble. They're on the road. They've got to come to Old Trafford. And, off the back of us winning 4-1 ourselves, we scored against a low block. Usually United, we can barely ever score against low blocks. So the fact we put forward past a low block ourselves with our predicaments is relatively good for us. It is relatively good for us. Of course, the conceding goals is its own problem, one that we do need to seriously work on. But I'm sure that we can keep things up or keep things as sturdy enough for us to be able to outscore Burnley on the Saturday. Dyche is the best manager when it comes to fighting relegation. There's a reason an average Burnley squad stayed up on a shoestring budget for years, and Everton will stay up with an 8-point deduction. True. And what better way to stake your claim to staying up in the Premier League than to ending your city rivals' Premier League hopes and dreams? The Klopp farewell tour is in the bin thanks to Sean Dyche. United Burnley 3 p.m. kickoff will be awake this time. I see United 4-2 win to double our positive goal difference. And that's true. That's true. Our heroics against Sheffield United put us into a positive goal difference. We're currently +1. Now go out there and put 10 past Burnley so it can be double figures. I know it's not going to happen. I'll tell you one thing that does need to happen, though. Some people might say get Rashford back in this team. Absolutely not. Keep him out. Seriously, if it was up to me, he wouldn't play for the rest of the season. He seriously wouldn't. Amari Forson gets into this team before Marcus Rashford. Wheatley, who's a striker, can play on the left wing before Marcus Rashford gets into that team. That's how far down the estimation that Marcus Rashford is for me. So, yeah, for me, don't stick him in the team. And that would be a big mistake for Eric if that does become the case. Supposedly, Rashford, who had a minor ankle injury, is a doubt for this game against Burnley. But yeah, don't play him, please. Don't play him. Maguire is actually a competent defender, but it's Maguire, so you can't mention it without the media calling you for your head. Brilliant mentality and a decent rotation option. Well, that's the thing. People will say that he's got the decent mentality, but yeah, he couldn't show that. You couldn't pay him. You couldn't pay him enough to show him, or you couldn't pay him enough for him to show that mentality when he was captain of the club. I mean, think about the wages he's on as well. I know that failure. I know that there's a incentivized contract structure at Manchester United where failure to qualify for Champions League, it does mean that the wage cuts will be by about 25%, which is quite significant. For example, if you are on, 100k a week, your wages are about to drop to 75k a week. If you're on 200k a week, your wages are about to drop to 150. So it is fairly significant, but incentivized contracts, do we want that at the club going forwards? For me, not really. I don't want that. I just want a sensible wage for a sensible player and work that structure that way so that no one's really getting money that's not deserved. And it's not money that we can sit back and say, well, we regret paying them this amount of money now. Fiorentina having a better season without Haram Abbat than they did last season with him shows how useless and irrelevant he is. Either that or just the team have found a different level, found a better style of play or something. Or everybody else is just not as good. I don't know. Depends. Do you watch Fiorentina every week? He's a Steve Bruce style defender. Yeah. For the most part, he's literally, as we call him, the fridge. He's a fridge. Muric will make an error leading to a goal, but leading to a United goal. But he'll make 8 saves, just like he does every week. Well, it's Manchester United, so if a goalkeeper that we're playing against doesn't pull out heroics, then they're not doing it right, basically. I'm happy Liverpool lost, but that Everton win also means they'll probably have nothing to play for on the final day, which could be huge for us. Possibly. I mean, if your title gets decided on goal difference, then maybe, just maybe, there'll be something there for you. But your second to last game of the season is against us. So by the final whistle at Old Trafford, who knows, Juminho? You could be crowned Premier League champions. If everything else goes your way, of course. Starting with tonight, by the way, Manchester City versus Brighton. it's going to be an interesting affair there before they then play at Nottingham Forest. Both of those games are away for Manchester City. Rashford shouldn't be in a matchday squad. I agree. He should be out of this club altogether. First bit of summer transfer business, remove Rashford, 100%. I mean, for me, he's too intertwined with club PR, and he's too much of the golden child of the club to be sold, even though technically he should be sold, because his head is just not here at the club. It's just not. And the more time we spend, giving Rashford a platform on his ludicrous wages and incentivized contract, the further down that we fall, the worse of an example we set for everybody else. Rashford should be the second on the cutting list this summer after McShite. Third, if you are counting Amrabat. Well, Amrabat's just heading back anyways. So, yeah, we don't have to worry about trying to sell Amrabat because he's pretty much already on the way out. But yeah, McTominay, I think there's too many sympathisers for McTominay as there are for Rashford. So, yeah, I don't think those two are getting sold, full stop. Not a winner's mentality, but the fact that he doesn't care about the critics. I don't know if that's a good thing, though. I'm not too sure if that's necessarily a good thing. I mean, if you're able to block out the noise and remain focused on your job at hand, then it's commendable. But it does help when you are winning and being able to do that. It does help. Never watched Fiorentina. I'm going off the basis that they have more points than they did this point last season. It's kind of like the same way, right? Look at Manchester United's goal difference this season. Look at where we are in the table. A team without goal difference should be sat where Chelsea is. We should be miles down the table without goal difference. But hey, when we lose badly. But when we win close. And we've won more than we've lost. So that's it's a double-edged sword. But hey, I want Brighton to win, but the weird part of me wants City to win because Arsenal are better when they're chasing the title than we are leading the title. I just think Arsenal are better when, one, Mikel doesn't overcomplicate things, and two, the players aren't pressured by the title picture. If Arsenal literally on a match day squad Mikel puts together the strongest team, right, without thinking too much about it, and he gives the players their instructions without the players thinking too much about it, they go out, they put in good performances, plus they have a good time. And when you see that Arsenal team, when they're happy, when they're enjoying their football, they look like they're on a different level. They do. But when the pressure comes and the occasion, the time to get serious is there and then, the happy smiles turn into, a bit more of a frown. And when Arsenal start frowning, I think the fans start groaning a bit more when they see more wayward passes, off-target shooting, and, small mistakes here and there in the defence and from goalkeepers. So I think it's going to depend. In Arsenal's case, and I stick by this, Arsenal's biggest enemy, and it has been this way since Mikel took over, Arsenal's biggest enemy is themselves. Literally. There's never really been a time that a team has been just that much better than Arsenal, but Arsenal have turned up and have really put everything they've got, at the forefront. If ever Arsenal have lost, it's because Arsenal have either made bad mistakes or they have just not decided to turn up. So for me, Mikel, get your head on the right way round. Same message to those players. So yeah, Rashford's PR team is one of the best PR teams in the world. Absolutely. The guy's literally politician level. And it's a shame, because from a guy that literally just came through the academy, who was given a chance by LVG because Martial got injured. Case in point, he's still injured to this day. For me, it's just the case that he's allowed himself to take his mindset and move his head everywhere that isn't football related, and he's lost the idea as to what he needs to do as a player to perform for Manchester United. He's lost the incentive for it. Now, without working hard, he gets a big paycheck, and people who, no matter what, still sing his praises. Even if he scored a hat-trick of own goals, someone somewhere is still spinning a positive. It's that sickly, toxically positive. It's bad. It's really bad. It's an unhealthy obsession and an unhealthy habit. Seriously. And people who think like this, right? I'm not going to say that I know people personally, because I don't. But here's a shot in the dark assumption, right? Now people can decipher who this applies to and who this doesn't, right? But if you are one of the sympathisers and believe that Marcus Rashford is one of the better players for Manchester United and he performs well every single week, and those that rate him or give him better match ratings than other players on the pitch, you've probably got some serious issues going on at home, or serious personal issues going on in your life. I'm going to say what those issues are. All I know is that there is something going on in your lives that has absolutely skewered your perception to fuck. Absolutely just demolished your mentality as well as your outlook on life. So yeah, I really would recommend talking to somebody, if you are somebody with that mindset, to be a sympathizer for a player, to be an apologist. Please sort yourselves out and get yourself some help. I know that logic is flawed, but anything to fuel my Amrabat agenda. Mate, just say you hate Moroccans. Just say Amrabat comes from Morocco, so I hate him. Bloody hell. Might as well at this point. Not that I hate Moroccans. I do like Moroccans. I think that people from all around the world. I like people from all around the world, but still. But anyways, guys, I'm pretty sure I've given my score prediction. I think I went with a 3-1, as I predicted there being a bit more of an open style of play. So for me, yeah, I think 3-1's probably close enough an accurate prediction. I think a good confidence booster game for Højlund as well. I think it's necessary. I think it's good that he got himself a goal at the end of the Sheffield United game, because it's going to juice him up for this game. And I think this game, with no disrespect to Burnley, I do believe that this should be used as the confidence booster to go out there and build a bit of goal difference, build a bit of confidence in on an individual basis. The game after this, Crystal Palace away, Glasner and Palace do not look like an easy team to play against, or an easy team to beat by any stretch of the imagination. So listen, we've got some serious work cut out for us, especially after Burnley. But Burnley, let's not please, pretty please, let's not use this as a banana skin game and actually, stay, feet firmly planted on the floor and actually do a job, a professional job at least. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with this. As far as the team goes, pretty much more or less the same as we got against Sheffield United. Pretty much the same for the most part. What I wouldn't do, by all means necessary, do not start Rashford. Do not start Rashford. If he plays, I guarantee you, my 3-1 prediction, stick it in the bin. I don't see how he comes in and does anything. I still think that he's in it for himself. Really wasteful. He can receive a pass into a good position, and where the time calls for a pass, he shoots. When the time calls to hold up play, he dribbles into traffic. When the time comes for a shot, he overplays it. The guy cannot get it right under any circumstances. So, yeah, for me, as long as Rashford doesn't play, the team from Sheffield United, keep it as much more or less the same as we did midweek, and I think we should be all right. I do. I think we should be all right. But guys, let me know what you think about this game in the comments section below if you're watching on playback, and give you some score predictions as well. And do be sure also to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. That'd be most appreciated. And also a big shout outs to everybody that has joined for the live chat as well. It's been a pleasure to see everybody in the chat once more. That's it from me for tonight. Everybody take care. Goodbye, and enjoy the rest of your Thursday night, or just Thursdays, maybe Friday. You might be somewhere in the world where it's now Friday. So if wherever it is you are, wish you well and enjoy the rest of your days, whether that's evenings or mornings or nights or afternoons. Take care, everybody, and speak to you all later. Ciao for now.